Mojúbà Ẹlẹ́dàá ìṣẹ̀dá ayé, El Shaddai in English. Mojúbà àwọn irú ìmálẹ̀ káayé, Malakas in English. I pay homage to my ancestors, àwọn ìṣẹ̀ṣe, the ancestors. I just want to talk about this tonight. It just came to my mind that I just talk about it briefly. It's about this name, Ethiopia, and it has meaning. The Greeks, the Greeks, and the Greek called it the meaning of the Ethiopia as burnt face people and all that. And this word also in Bantu words to mean she who creates Etiopia. But we have this deep history in African tradition, to be precise, in the Edo people. This is the Olu of Wari, and they were celebrating the crossing of the Red Sea. And it actually means Eti-okun-pupa-pinya. They call it Eti-okun-pupa-pinya. That means the site or the place that the Red Sea and the Blue Sea, where they split, and then that became dry land. So this is the celebration of this parting of the Red Sea that they do every year. So it makes me wonder. And when you look at the map, let me see if I can get the map of ancient of the map of the ancient Ethiopia. Okay, maybe it's here. I need to bring it up. Let's look at this. So this is map of the ancient Ethiopia, and it's actually, look at Ethiopia Ocean. Look at Ethiopia. This is Ethiopia Inferior and Ethiopia Exterior, Superior rather. And this is like Ethiopian Sea. And what's happened, and this is where this Benin is at the time. So it's probably, and the story about this Ethiopia word is it's the story that some Yoruba, the Jebus, the Chekiri, the Bini, they were in that axis. This side also used to be Egypt, used to be Rome. So on this axis. So there was something that actually happened in that area at the time, and that they have to migrate to come out to return to the Yoruba land. So we still have the remnants there. They are still living there. The Chekiris are still there, the Ijo. And I heard the story of this Ijo that the person that brought them to live in that area is called Ojo. So they are actually um, bearing the name of their ancestor, Ojo, Ijo, Ojo. And it made me wonder that let me click this open so uh, so it makes me want to say link this link this story to the time of a king in Yoruba land that bears that name Ojo. This is him. This is the 31st Oba or Oduduwa throne, Daudu Oodua or Arole Oodua. At that time, they were actually using Daudu, meaning the first heir to of Oodua. So, and I heard this story that there were this Oba that they went to bring him that came from the Middle East. But that Middle East is not Middle East in the Arab country. That's a modern Middle East. The Middle East I'm talking about is east of Nigeria. So it, the story was that it came from there, and then when the Onis too was vacant, then it became. I'm just. I'm not saying for sure, but I'm just saying because of the name Olojo. So I might be wrong, but I'm just trying to say the name Olojo Ojo. So I will have to do more research on that. But this is Olojo. So and the time they are putting Exodus. And let me show you this also before I continue. So this is the axis where this incident happened. You still see the name Ethiopia is still showing. See Irobo, see Isoko, Ijo, and this is Ethiop West, Ethiop East, and Aniocha, Ika, Isoko, so Ichekiri. So this is all this axis where this incident happened. And this person that brought them that the um they were referred to as Moses. I've said the one before that Moses, when you remember when you say the when you want to find the meaning of Moses, according to Pharaoh, that because he drew him out of water. I'll just quickly say, kind of find the name meaning in Yoruba word, because when I do my research, I always make sure it's precise or close to the meaning that I'm researching, so that it's not like the meaning of something is from my research is opposite to my the meaning that I found out in Yoruba. I always make sure that the meaning of my own finding and the meaning of the words that I'm researching are closely the synonym. They are very close in nature. So for Moses, I made translated it into Yoruba as Omo Oshun because the Oshun people, they are the followers of the devotees. Oshun devotees are of Oshun herself is a water goddess. So you see names in Yoruba like Oshun, Oshun. ah, I want to remember one name. There's a name that I know that. I remember Oshun Rotimi. But this person that I'm mentioning his name, he went and because he's a pastor or something, he went and changed his name to Oluwarotimi instead of Oshunrotimi. It means Oshun stays with me, something like that. So this Moses will definitely be called Omo Oshun, which is Moshun. That's the way they talk. That's the way they speak in the Yoruba in those days. They shortened it. If I want to say Ibudo, they say Budo. That means your house, living place. And so they shortened the words. Like I mentioned, I said Torah, Otito, Oro, Araye, Toraye, Torah. So that's the way they speak. They shorten it so that it's it would so that the words are not prolonged when they are saying these words and when they are writing them in both verbally and in writing. So Omo Oshun, Oloshun, Oshun devotee are the one that led these people from this Egypt. They said they would people were coming from the Exodus. People of Israel were leaving Egypt to return back to Israel, which I believe this is really as it happened here. Oh, sorry. So, this Omo Oshun must have led the Oshun devotee, which it tallies so clear and is so clear that people they all gathered and called the goddess, river goddess, and it opened. Yes, it can happen. And maybe their leader is Omo Oshun. But when I look at the story of Exodus, they mentioned that it happened is it 16th century 13th century. They were linking it to 13th century BC, but the time of Olojo, this Kabiyesi, this Olojo, ni Olojo, that means the king looks like he reigns in the probably early um 12 or 13 BM CE, that is before the BC. So I then kind of wonder that why would the Bible time different from this story? Then I saw something here that they are trying to link Exodus. I hope I've got the. I hope They are trying to link the Exodus to this time of Ramsey. They're trying to link Exodus to be 13th century BCE at the time of Ramsey too. But I kind of then really sit down and think that it didn't really happen that way. Here they're saying tribe of Joseph because they are linking Egypt and Israel together to be like, you know, they both reign at the same time. They did, but the stories, each of them are unique. They have their own story. Like Egypt. Let me bring the map of. Oh, okay, I think I showed the map earlier. So let me go back and bring out the map. Let me bring this one. So at the time, this area, this Benin, all these sides were Egypt. Later became Rome. So all this area, all the way to Enugu, you still have the pyramids. So Egypt, like Lower Egypt and Upper Egypt, they were all here. The New Egypt probably started at the time of El Selassie, that he too created his own Egypt. So also Ethiopia. So the Ethiopian that you are seeing now used to be Abyssinia, Abessi. So this axis, this Egypt, no more, though no more called Egypt, but I've explained to us that Egypt simply means Akepta, Akepata. So Egypt can be anywhere, it can be in your village. It simply is height of Orisha, height of a deity. Okay, Abba, Ata, that's height of Obatala. So it can be height of Obatala in Lagos or in. So Egypt does just not simply means it has to be, though the pyramids are in the, probably I'll call it Upper Egypt, which is east of Nigeria, Enugu, and the pyramids are still there to date. But the new Egypt that people are seeing this pyramid is, they're just museum. There is no king palace, nothing. They were just museum built like they build the museum in England and everywhere else. So that's why you couldn't, if you see mommy there or whatever, it's possible, yes, they buried some people there, but those are not, you know, they can probably have moved from the original Egypt site in Enugu and moved some of these mummies there, is possible. Or some of them just died and were buried there. So it's a museum. It's like some of our ancestors, they have been to South Africa. I watched a film that 250,000 years ago, our ancestors were in South Africa. So if our ancestors were there, it doesn't mean that was Ile-Ife. No, they will still see their dead body or something if they would dig or want to make further research. And suppose they found some ancient mummies or mummified bodies, it doesn't mean that was Ife. So seeing mummy dead bodies of ancient Egyptians in modern day Egypt doesn't mean that that was original Egypt. And all these maps were just informed the scholars that were making all these maps since the 18th century, early 18th century, or even 16th century, when there were creation of other languages from Yoruba, that is Latino Ede Yoruba, Yoruba Latin. So that's when they started making all these maps, cities in these maps in English, in French, and that's what is causing all the confusion. So Ethiopia means eti tí òkun ti píyà, òkun pípa, òkun pupa. Yoruba will say pupa, but in Edo language, pipa. So it's still the same. That is the region where the Red Sea parted. That is just the meaning of Ethiopia. So that's what it just prompted me that I need to talk about this. Let me see what I want to say again before I call it a day. I don't want to say much, or I don't want to take so much time, because I don't want to really go into depth. I just want to quickly just paraphrase. So this is Abesi. And I remember there's something I even want to show you from my paint. Okay. This is Abyssinia, Abesi. I remember the video where the this man, this king, the maybe I will remember the name. The king of Igala, the Igala monarchy. They are the one that are called Gal. They are the Galatians. The Bible call them Galatians, but they are also the Gaelic. They are the Scottish, ancient. I'm not saying present Scottish. And it might sound funny, but the people of the West have made their confession that they have hidden African story, that anyone that want to talk about African history that does not go with their own um, that does not go to their own way believe, or that I don't know what word I want to use yet. Maybe I'll remember. That does not meet their own kind of idea, then they will discredit it and say, no, it was not true. Africa is just people that live there were just taking on slavery. Everything is about slavery. Africans are slaves. And then there's nothing good. So all this story was stolen for themselves. And then so Africans were left with nothing. It's like the Africa was built 3,000 years ago, whereas it's been there millions of years. Their history is millions of years. They came to Ile-Ife to take our ancient artifacts. These American anthropologists, and the list of those artifacts was actually 10,000 years older than Greek and Rome combined. So I just want to tell us this Oba, king of this Igala, actually were children of Ogun, son of Odudua, Daudu Odua. And he said the story that he was at Abyssinia. They were coming from there. I kind of really believe, because when you look at this map, you see the Geli. That's at the Gala. So this story are true. So I just want to tell us that Ethiopia today was almost the whole of spreading across Africa like that. But today it's a small um, country where but you still see the remnant of the name in Nigeria, in east part of Nigeria, called it Ethiopia. So you can see it, and you see the Ethiopic Ocean. But this map are like from 17th century, as I said, and they have written them in English. But in that time that the Red Sea parted, it will not be in English. They were not even speaking English. Then there's no language like English at the time. So we all know that Selassie himself was claiming to be um, tribe of Solomon, that they are Israelite, but they themselves has come years ago to say that this Judaism was brought to them, Islam was brought to them, and they accepted it. So it wasn't really their own religion. Christianity was brought to them. So just like we have the Jews of today too, they also come to say it was not their ancestors. They just converted to that Judaism. So African history must be respected and not converted after and claimed to be for another people or race. So if it's African history, there's nothing to discredit it. If I find all this on the media, believe me, we have them, the artifacts. It might not be written in English. So that's where the confusion, it was just total confusion. So I think I've done, yeah. So this is the Abesi, Abesh, Abesh, and I hope there's nothing else I want to say that I can. So this is really what I meant to talk about, and I want to talk about this. Yeah, and this is also the, if they say that we are coming, Odudua came from Middle East, it's actually coming from east of Nigeria, central, south Yoruba, northern Yoruba. This is probably early 19th century map of Yoruba land. So it's probably coming from Middle East of Nigeria. And during Bantu migration, Bantu themselves came from eastern Nigeria. They themselves know that they came from eastern Nigeria. So part of them is probably from Igala tribe or from Igbo side. So Igbo themselves are Bantu or Bantu are Igbo. So all these stories need to stay in Africa and not like somebody else claiming it and even making the pictures of the people in their own race, which is okay, but at least not to discredit the owner of the story. So, I've explained the meaning of Ethiopia. So I think we now understand, and this is the celebration, yearly celebration of Ethiopia, Eti-okun-pupa-pinya, Ethiopia. And I think I even had the Ethiopia meaning. Oh, yeah. And look at it. Ethiopia. Yeah. Oromo Ethiopia. Ethiopia. So these are all and when you see guess, especially Ethiopian language is like Latin Yoruba. Look at guess. And we have Oba Gesi. So even there was a pyramid of like Oromi or staff. But it's not whether Oromi or went there. They could have maybe erected another staff of office of Oromi or this single pyramid there. So as just like I said that, like Mediterranean Sea. Mediterranean Sea can be in any part of the world, any country, even at the back of your village. Mediterranean simply means mid sea. Mid sea is mid sea of middle sea. Dahomey, Ida-omi. It's a middle sea. That's the meaning of Dahomey. So all these things we need to be well informed and clarified about it. So this is where I want to stop. And I think I've explained the meaning of Ethiopia. Is where the Red Sea and the Blue Sea parted. Thank you. Be on the lookout for my other next video. Thank you.